What if I told you that everything you've lost in your life never actually left? That every door that closed, every goodbye that broke your heart, every failure that pulled you under weren't endings, but seeds being planted in fertile soil. Today, I'm going to share with you a Zen story that will completely change the way you see loss, endings, and those dark moments we all go through. Stay until the end, because what you'll discover may transform your life. The story I'm sharing today is special. It's the kind that stays with you, that works inside you like an underground river, until one day when you need it most, it rises again with crystal clarity. It's called The Farmer and His Horse. And although you may have heard it before, I guarantee you've never seen it from this perspective. Because I'm not just going to tell you a story, I'm going to show you how to apply it to your real life today, right now. Once upon a time, in a small village at the foot of the mountains, there lived a farmer with his only son. They weren't rich, but they never went hungry either. They had enough: a small piece of land, a few chickens, and a magnificent horse that was their most valuable possession. This horse was no ordinary animal. It was strong, hard-working, and had been the farmer's companion for many years. With it, he plowed the fields, transported the harvest, and occasionally rented it out to neighbors to earn a few extra coins. One day, like any other, the farmer woke up and found the stable empty. The horse had escaped during the night. The door was open, and there was no sign of the animal anywhere. When the neighbors heard the news, they came to his house with looks of sympathy. "What terrible misfortune," they said. "You've lost your horse. What bad luck." The farmer looked at them calmly, without the slightest trace of anguish on his face, and simply replied, "Good luck? Bad luck? Who knows?" The neighbors looked at each other, confused. How could this man be so indifferent in the face of such a loss? Several days passed. The farmer and his son continued their work, now more difficult without the horse, but without complaining, without lamenting. And then, one morning, something extraordinary happened. The horse returned. But it didn't come back alone. It brought with it a herd of wild horses it had found in the mountains. 6 beautiful wild horses were now in the farmer's corral. The neighbors came running again, this time with expressions of joy and admiration. "What incredible fortune!" they exclaimed. "You lost one horse and now you have 7. What good luck!" The farmer, with the same serenity as always, replied, "Good luck? Bad luck? Who knows?" Once again, the neighbors were baffled. How could he not celebrate such an obvious blessing? The farmer's son, a strong and capable young man, decided to tame the wild horses. They were magnificent animals that could be worth a fortune if he managed to train them. 4 days he worked with them. Everything was going well until one afternoon, while trying to ride one of the most rebellious horses, the animal reared up violently. The young man was thrown to the ground with a terrible impact. He had broken his leg. It was a serious fracture, and the village doctor confirmed what everyone feared. He would walk with a limp, perhaps for the rest of his life. The neighbors arrived once more, now with sorrowful faces. "What a horrible tragedy," they sighed. "Your son, so young, now crippled. If only you hadn't gotten those horses back. What terrible luck." And the farmer, patient as ever, repeated his words. "Good luck? Bad luck? Who knows?" Now pay close attention, because this is where the story reveals its true depth. Because what happens next doesn't just change everything in the story. It will change the way you see every loss you've ever experienced. A week passed. Then the sound of war drums echoed throughout the valley. The emperor had declared war on a neighboring kingdom. Soldiers came to the village to recruit every young man fit for battle. They went from house to house, taking sons, brothers, grandsons. It was a brutal war, one of those where very few return alive. When the soldiers reached the farmer's home, they saw the young man with his broken leg, still in the process of healing. They examined him briefly and moved on. "He can't fight," they said. "He's no use to us." The neighbors watched in silence. All of their sons had been taken to war, but the farmer's son stayed home, safe, alive. One by one they began to understand. The broken leg, which had seemed like a tragedy, had saved the young man's life. This time, when they looked at the farmer, he said nothing. He simply smiled, with a quiet wisdom that had been there all along. Before we continue with the deep analysis of this story, I want to ask you for something. If up to this moment you felt even a small spark of recognition, if something inside you resonates with this teaching, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. Why? Because this kind of wisdom doesn't appear in news headlines. It's not on social media or television shows. It's here in stories like this, waiting for those who are ready to listen with an open heart. Now let's go deeper. Do you realize what this story is really teaching us? It's not simply that everything happens for a reason, or that we should stay positive. No, it's far more revolutionary than that. This story reveals 3 fundamental truths about life. First truth: we live in a chain of events where each link depends on the one before it. Think about your own life. That job you lost that crushed you, didn't it lead you to search for another path that eventually turned out to be better? That relationship that ended and broke your heart, didn't it create space for you to meet someone more compatible or to get to know yourself more deeply? I'm not saying the pain isn't real. The pain is absolutely real. But what this story shows us is that our interpretation of the event is premature. The farmer understood something most of us forget in the middle of our crises. The chapter isn't finished. When he lost the horse, the story wasn't over. When the horse returned with 6 more, the story wasn't over. When his son broke his leg, the story wasn't over. And here is the crucial point. Your story isn't over either. That ending you're living right now, that door that closed, that dream that died, it's not a period. It's a semicolon. It's one chapter closing so another can begin. Second truth: we don't know enough to judge. This is hard to accept, especially in our modern culture where we value control and certainty so highly. We want to know. We want to understand. We want to predict. But life is infinitely more complex than our ability to understand it in real time. The farmer said, "Who knows?" Because he truly didn't know. And he didn't need to know. He had found peace in uncertainty. Can you imagine that freedom? The freedom of not needing to label every event as good or bad. The freedom to simply be present with what is, without clinging to premature judgments. Let me give you a personal example. Years ago, I lost what I considered my dream job. I was fired without much explanation, and for months I lived in a kind of mourning. I thought, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. And do you know what happened? That worst moment forced me to explore other paths. I ended up studying Zen philosophy, which led me to create content like this, which connected me with thousands of people who are now part of this community. If I hadn't lost that job, I wouldn't be here now, sharing this with you. Was losing that job bad luck? Or was it good luck in disguise? The farmer's answer is still perfect. Who knows? Third truth: equanimity is wisdom in action. This word, equanimity, sounds complicated, but it's simple. It means keeping the mind balanced in the face of life's changing circumstances. The farmer wasn't indifferent. He didn't lack emotions. He had simply developed the ability not to be dragged around by every wave. And this is crucial, because we live in an era of emotional roller coasters. Social media shows us what's perfect, then what's terrible. The news bombards us with crisis after crisis. Our own lives seem to swing violently between victories and defeats. How do we survive this without losing our minds? With equanimity. It doesn't mean you don't celebrate your victories. Celebrate them. It doesn't mean you don't feel the pain of losses. Feel it. But don't marry any single interpretation. Keep your heart open to the possibility that the story continues. That meaning will reveal itself over time. So how do we apply this in our daily lives? Here are 3 concrete practices. Practice 1. When something bad happens this week, Take a deep breath and say to yourself, "Who knows?" Not as denial, but as an opening to possibility. Practice 2. Review your past. Identify 3 moments that you considered terrible at the time, but that, looking back, you can see led you to something valuable. This strengthens your trust in the process. Practice 3. Let go of a rigid interpretation you're holding onto. Maybe you believe you ruined something, that you missed your chance, that it's too late. Allow the story to keep being written. Friend, if you've made it this far, it's because something in you recognizes this truth. You're going through something right now, or you will soon. We all do. It's part of being alive. And when that moment comes, when you feel like an ending is destroying you, remember the farmer. Remember that the story isn't over, that you don't know enough to judge. That equanimity is your anchor in the storm. Because when an ending is truly the beginning of everything, life becomes an infinite adventure of transformation. If this video touched something inside you, subscribe, share it with someone who needs it today, and leave me a comment. What ending in your life turned out to be a beginning in disguise? See you in the next video. And remember, good luck? Bad luck? Who knows? Until next time, and may Zen wisdom illuminate your path.